In this example, we talk about how to find the derivative of x squared plus 1 times e to the x plus x cubed. And the first thing you should notice is this is a product. We have one thing times a second thing. And because of that, we should use the product rule. And I think you should write it down. Unless you are already so good at this that you have the product rule thoroughly memorized in your head and you don't need to look at it, it helps just to write it down again. So I write it this way. F times g, with the derivative on the outside, is equal to f prime times g plus f times g prime. Okay, let's put all of that at the top of our piece of paper. So derivative of and our product rule. Now when you use the product rule, you need to label or at least identify in your head which part is f and which part is g. And there's a couple ways you could do that. You could write down underneath, a little bracket or a line that says this is f and this is g. But it might be worth writing it down a little more carefully than that as a whole step. So you can write f equals and then x squared plus 1 and g equals e to the x plus x cubed. And if you write that, it kind of helps you go to the next step and write down the derivative. F prime equals 2x. G prime equals e to the x plus 3x squared. And if you have written each of those steps and labeled each step, it should be pretty easy to fill in the product rule. I'll go ahead and rewrite the product rule one more time. And if you're still learning this, I think you should too. So f prime times g plus f times g prime, those are the pieces we will fill in, and that's how it looks when we fill all of those in. So the 2x came from f prime, e to the x plus x cubed came from g, x squared plus 1, and e to the x plus 3x squared. So those are all the pieces. Now you might ask yourself, maybe this would be simpler if I FOIL everything out and distribute it and cancel and gather and do stuff like that. Here's what it looks like if we try. You can distribute 2x over the e to the x plus the x cubed. That's on the left. And you can FOIL the two binomials on the right. Looks a little more complicated. You can gather some of these terms together. You can gather the ones that both have x to the fourth together, for instance. Here's what it looks like if you do that. So that's gathered and as simplified as I can get. And if you look at that and you ask yourself, is it really any simpler than what I just had one line up? For me, the answer is no. That didn't really make it any simpler. And so the lesson here should be, don't really try simplifying it unless you're very sure that that would help. In this case, just leave it the way it is. It is a complicated answer, but it doesn't get really any more simple. So that's my final answer.